Everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
And we're back. This is Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Thanks for joining us. Today's show is all about insurance. And joining us in the studio from Intact Insurance, we have two guests. We have Patrick Magnuson as well as Cindy Cardwell, along with our broker, Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance here in Richmond. Now, today's show is all about the number one cause of loss for property claims. So let's talk about water damage. It's not something most people want to think about. In fact, it can be downright dirty at times. But as a property owner, you know it's important to protect yourself and your home. So let's just clarify, what types of water damage claims do you actually see the most?
So there are several, but probably the most common are burst pipes and leaky hot water tanks, sewer backup and the backing up of drainage systems, ruptures on hoses for appliances such as dishwashers, ice makers, washing machines, and the big culprit, hot water tanks, especially older ones, those that are over 10 years old. Also the overflowing sinks and toilets and leaky roofs.
Had a lot of those in the last little while with all the wind going on.
The leaky roofs, exactly,
Yeah.
and some of the damage we've had in these windstorms. But to me, it sounds a little bit like mostly home appliances that could be neglected or not kept properly.
Certainly that's one of the issues. And we know the lifespan of a hot water tank is only about 10 years. And I don't think they're necessarily being replaced all that. I've told this story before, but I bought not a new house, but I bought a house in December of last year.
Yeah, it was new to you.
That's right, new to me. It was built in 1982, but within the specs on the real estate listing, it advertised as a highlight that the hot water tank was replaced in 2003. So that meant it was a 12-year-old tank. So I was like, well, thanks for highlighting that as a positive. That means I have to replace it. So, but I mean, this is kind of, and this is, obviously a real estate agent, and it's just
it was not a highlight.
It just goes to show that it's not common knowledge that the lifespan of a hot water tank really is only 10 years old.
So, note to self, something to do now over the holiday or into the new year. Mm-hmm. You're making a plan for 2016 is go and check the date on your hot water tank.
It's part of upkeep and maintenance, right? I mean, it's just like changing the tires on your car when they start to wear out.
Well,
you don't wait till your tire blows up. You replace it in advance.
Well,
so.
This is your business, though. You think it's common sense, but we don't always fall into that category.
Well, and even if just to add to Patrick's comment, I mean, we talk a lot about hot water tanks, but just something that a lot of customers don't even think about, and even as a homeowner, and I probably didn't think about, was they lose their efficiency over time. So even though your tank may not be leaking and it may not have burst, outside of the potential for major water damage to your home, they're also inefficient and they're probably costing you more energy-wise. So getting a new tank, getting your tank replaced, isn't just smart to prevent water damage, but it can have other benefits as well.
Excellent point, Cindy. So what about basement flooding? Is that a big issue?
Absolutely. It certainly can be. I mean, you think about what a basement, it's in a damp, moist area of the ground, and it's the lowest point of your home. So water always travels down to the lowest point, and it's basically under constant attack from water. And concrete as itself is essentially a permeable surface and is prone to cracking. So water is constantly attacking basements. So absolutely, it can be a big issue.
And other than a failing hot water tank in the basement, what would some of the other causes of basement flooding be?
Well, if you don't look after your drain tiles, they will fill up. Same thing with your sump pump. The sump pump should be checked every 5 years because the silt collects in there and then it causes backups. So, and drain tiles, if you've got trees on your house, the leaves land on your roof, they go down through your downspouts, they end up in your drain tiles, and they catch on something. Next thing you know, you've got a blockage.
Mm-hmm. And there's also poor lot drainage. I mean, a lot of the homes will have the grading not sloping away from the house, and of course, as in newer communities, the closer the houses are together, it's more and more difficult to have proper drainage. But if you have a nice heavy rainstorm and all the water's pooling up against the side of your house, again, it just sits there and it just silently attacks.
Looks for somewhere to go.
Exactly.
You know, and even as when we've talked about it, the sewer systems. I mean, they don't handle the rain the way they did because there's more and more houses draining into them, and you know we all talk about the global warming, that we're getting more and more water. So we're now in the situation where we've got a El Nino coming on. We're going to see a lot of rain this year. So you know, can the systems actually handle the amount of water that's coming? And I know there's areas. I had a client last year that his sewer backup coverage went up $600 because he's on the west side of Vancouver, and the sewer system over there is so old and doesn't handle the amount of water that's there. So the insurance companies are all pricing to represent the potential for claims.
Mm-hmm.
So is the percentage of claims caused by water higher than average?
Absolutely. We said it's the number one cause of loss. In fact, a fun little stat, but it's more than 7 times as many insurance claims are caused by water damage and freezing than by theft. And
wow.
Of course, when we think about insurance, we always think fire and theft, but they're really not the top causes anymore.
Okay, so for the experts from Intact Insurance, I know you have a new enhanced water damage package available for homeowners. Can you tell us the details of that package?
Sure. Well, to give a little background, I mean, what we were finding is, customers are asking for more and more coverage that are applicable to the real life living situation. So it's not just sewer back, but it's not just burst pipes, but we're seeing events like Calgary in 2013 where we have these massive flooding events. And that same year, Toronto was hit with just a deluge of rain and everything just backed up and there was water everywhere. So with water damage, it's so prevalent and it's coming from so many different sources. Customers want protection that is comprehensive, that is accessible, and then it's affordable.
And I think clearly defined, so they understand what it is.
Absolutely. So you know what you're covered for and what you're not covered for.
Give you an example. In Saskatchewan, they have a lot of flooding there, and a few years back, it was kind of tongue in cheek, but they said that if the water got to the floorboards, that it was flooding. If it was below that, then they only called it sewer backup.
It wasn't flooding.
Right. So sewer backup, so be covered. So so how do you want to know, am I covered for this? Mm-hmm. Yes or no, and be more definitive.
There was certainly an element of ambiguity within the existing sewer backup wording, and of course that's the last thing you want is when your house is under attack, and insurance is supposed to be peace of mind. There's not a lot of peace of mind with ambiguity. So really what we're trying to do is define exactly what the coverage is, and then what you're covered for and for how much and for what causes of loss and for what you might not be covered for. So really with this enhanced water damage package, Intact Insurance will basically be protecting the majority of Canadians from all the different causes of water damage. One of the reasons why we're able to do this now is there's more updated and sophisticated flood mapping, and we've been able to use that flood mapping with a combination of geocoding, which is a real technical term. It basically just says we can pinpoint the latitude and longitude of your house as well as elevation, and we know how prone it is to a potential flood or rain damage or surface water building up. So we basically used all that information, and we developed a reasonably priced product that provides new and necessary coverage to most of our customers.
Sounds like you've worked on the clarity of the information and the definition and the high-tech aspect as well. But what would some of the highlights of this product be?
So there's going to be two elements of it that will be included for all customers. And the first one is sewer backup. So this will provide coverage for backing up of water or sewage into your house. And this is usually entering through the basement, through a drain, toilet, or sump, and it is disgusting.
Yeah. We keep talking about water. But
it's
water
not water.
Is not water necessarily.
It's ugly water.
It's all the stuff that comes with
black,
it. Yeah.
Sometimes referred to as black water or gray water. And the second element will be exterior water and sewer lines. So this is a new coverage that we're going to be offering in the West, and it covers fresh potable water, the fresh potable water line and the sewer line that are on your property in the event that they break, crack, leak, tear, or rupture. So we will not only pay to replace that line, but also to replace any landscaping, driveway, trees, lawn, sidewalks that need to be dug up to get to that line. And these two, as I said before, these two coverages will be available for all customers.
Wow. So the replacement of all the surrounding area didn't even exist in the last
No.
Sure.
No, and I can vouch for that. I've had a few clients that have had that issue. You get water gurgling up through the lawn, and they're going, "What's going on?" And it's not under the house. So if it's not within the concrete of the house, then it's your responsibility. Anything between your house, the frame of your house, and the street is your responsibility to fix. So.
Excellent. So
it's not the city's responsibility.
Not the city's. Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm glad you clarified that, because I think that's a wrong assumption we have, that the city is responsible. What about overland water, and what the coverage is there for water that's coming like from outside the house?
Right. So this is kind of what I was referring to when I was talking about the Calgary event and the sort of the demand that we're seeing from the public now. And so overland water, it's very new within the Canadian market. Previously, this kind of coverage, it wasn't available to homeowners through private insurers. So in the event that you had a flood or some sort of overland water event, you had to rely on government disaster relief assistance programs, which again, it sort of adds to that. It's the unknown, it's the ambiguous. And you have to wait. Is the government going to declare that a disaster? How are they going to help? Are they going to provide full coverage? Is it going to be a dollar value? Governments aren't insurance companies. They don't have sets of field adjusters who are able to come there and manage and deal with the claim as promptly and quickly as say, Intact Insurance can. So we developed this product. Again, we were able to just because of all the flood mapping and geocoding that we were able to do. And so it'll cover you for damage caused by, sort of the flood event. So water breaking out or overflowing a river, a lake, or any other body of water. So that's the intuitive one. But you also have those cases where, in addition to a flood, if it rains really fast and surface water quickly accumulates, and then all of a sudden it enters at a point above the ground, so through a basement window or through a walkout basement door or something. That again was something that wasn't covered because it's surface water. And then the other thing that we would often see is if you have sort of that flood event happening, and if you have a sewer backup at the same time. Again, that's where that ambiguity was. So is that a sewer backup, or is that the flood coming up through the sewer? So one of those is covered under sewer backup, one of them isn't. So what we've done is remove that ambiguity and said, listen, the reason that sewer backup is happening is because of this overland water event. So we're going to have coverage under the overland water coverage. Again, so it's very clear, it's very defined, you know exactly what's covered and under where.
We saw that in Calgary and TD. Their wordings were actually designed such that they said anything that happened if flooding was causing sewer backup, it excluded coverage. So these people went out and bought this cheaper TD policy thing. I think they had the same coverage as everybody else, and they found out they didn't. But there was such a blowback on the social media that on the TD brand that they actually ended up paying $200 million out of their own pocket to cover the sewer backup issues in Calgary. So that's part of the reason the insurance companies are now looking at this whole process, is they want it clearly defined so that it's clear who's covered and who's not.
And weren't you indicating that there were some changes to government assistance as well?
Well, I guess the issue now is that as a broker, I look at this that if this coverage is now available, is the federal government even going to be able to offer? Will they be willing to offer flood coverage anymore? Will that it become an item of the past because they're going to turn around and say, well, you had the option to buy this. I mean, there will be a certain segment that won't qualify for this particular product because they are in flood-prone areas. So in which case they may still qualify for government assistance. But let's face it, government assistance doesn't put you back to where you were. They just give you a certain amount of money and to help you get going again. But it doesn't put you back to where you were.
Yeah, no. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know if you ever get back to where you were 100%.
No.
Life has just changed once that water has run through your house. We hope to talk a lot more about some of the examples of water damage in case our listeners might happen to have any questions. You are listening to Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, joined in the studio today with the insurance experts. We have Patrick Magnuson and Cindy Cardwell here from Intact Insurance, along with broker Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. If you want more information about the products and packages we were talking about, please visit the website intact.ca. And we are talking about the leading cause of insurance claims in Canada, water, and a new product from Intact Insurance we just talked about to ensure that you are covered. More details coming up next on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.